Good evening. This is Meister Cortello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite modcast. Today, we have a 3v3 on Calderis Refinery. Our first player today is Commissar Sebastian Yarrick. He is playing as the Commissar Lord, a slightly tanky melee hero. Starts out with a sword and a las pistol, I believe. He also has a free energy shield, and he can use that pistol to execute his own troops, make them fight harder. Next up, we got Jamona playing as the Lord General. He is the only hero who is a squad. He's got a stormtrooper retinue, he can get some other retinue members, and he's a lot about supporting a guardsman, his guardsman, with area of effect buffs. And then finally for the blue team, we've got SuperHooper playing as a Death Guard Chaos Lord. The Chaos Lord is a tanky melee hero in Terminator armor, so he cannot be suppressed or knocked down. He is, however, a little slow, and he does a little bit of range damage and a little bit of melee damage, but not a whole lot of either one to start out. Next up, on the red team, first of all, we've got classy Brother Captain David as a Dark Angels Force Commander. He's got those toothbrushes on the side of his head. Starts out with a bolt pistol and chainsword. You can upgrade to a variety of different weapons, Power Fist, Power Sword, Thunderhammer, etc. He ties things up, he knocks things down with Battle Cry, and he gives some area of effect and damage buffs. Next up, we got Fear playing as the Tyrannid Lictor Alpha, an infiltrating Tyrannid hero. Fights in melee, he's very powerful in melee, and we just saw him use that Fleshhook ability. Man, look at how much bigger he is than the Termagants, and he's not even really that big. And then finally, we've got PhatE playing as the Warp Spider Exarch, a teleporting commander. Fights both in ranged and melee and does pretty well at both. And he can just harass a lot, bleed a lot of models. He's also got some interesting war gears in Tier 1, in Tier 2, and Tier 3. Shimmer Orb, Gravity, the Gravity Grenade, and yeah, all that stuff. So red team with the early VP lead, almost putting on 50 points of VP pressure at the start. Yarrick, however, going to get the decap on the middle and possibly even the full cap, but we're going to have, looks like, some Spore Mines as well as the Termagants are going to move in for Fear. Fear has not yet upgraded to get the Toxin Sacks on his Termagants, perhaps because he wanted to get the Warriors out as quickly as he could. So he's already got Warriors, he's got more squads than anybody else. He's got 5, although one of them is a squad of Spore Mines. They will probably be able to get one detonation on these guardsmen. Wow, look at the damage that they did to both of those guardsmen squads. Spore Mines notoriously effective against heretics, or really just about any squad that has a lot of models but low health per model. So guardsmen is definitely one of the typical squads in that category as well. PhatE, it appears, well, I was going to say PhatE looks like he's forcing off Yarrick, but then I know Yarrick was actually in the middle. Yarrick now with a triple guardsman play. He does like to do this, getting no sentinels and triple guardsmen. He goes right into a heavy weapon team. This Spore Mine squad should be dead, and yes it is. Jamona with a very typical 2 guardsmen into a single sentinel, and SuperHooper does not get a second heretic or a Chaos Space Marine, instead goes straight to some Noise Marines. Meanwhile, these double guardsmen are definitely going to win quite handily over the Dire Avengers. Models are going to be leading on those Dire Avengers to go down, and execute also happens as well. So one of these guardsman squads is going to be doing twice as much damage, and the heavy weapon team is setting up right there, so those Banshees did not have a chance. Warp Spider Exarch teleported in. He was just forcing melee. If anything, I think he wasn't threatened enough. Probably should have turned and started shooting him. PhatE very smartly communicating to Fear that there is a heavy weapons team, and that basically the Hormagaunts will probably not be successful at approaching, although even against triple guardsmen they would probably not be successful at approaching. Yarrick, meanwhile, calling out the Shuriken Cannon. Of course, those are on opposite teams, and PhatE just has to pull out of there. Shotgun Scouts blast those Raptors, so they are suppressed, but they were not knocked down because they were probably shot, or they were probably hit with a shotgun blast after they landed. Meanwhile, we've got double shotgun scouts from classy Brother Captain David. They've also got their squad leader, the sergeant, so they do quite a bit of damage that way. And it looks like the Force Commander was knocked out and repurchased, did not even bother to try for a revive, and now he's upgrading to the Power Sword. Meanwhile, blue team after, well, they still definitely don't have the VP lead, but now they're pushing up quite a bit and are being pretty dominant. They should be able to bash a bunch of generators right here. So this is Jamona and SuperHooper. The Noise Marines need to open fire because you really can't afford to waste too much time when you're trying to bash with Noise Marines. They can do so much in such a short amount of time, but make sure you actually do it because they didn't have that big of a window to bash generators. I feel like he could have gotten at least one of the generators, but I think because of the delay, he didn't even get the node, and you should go for the generators instead of the node, I think, because the generators do provide more power income. Certainly on a map like this, I don't think you're going to get too much opportunity in a 3v3 to destroy the node and then get a decap off. This is actually not a good situation for Jamona. Yeah, he needs to retreat and then back up the Sentinel. Grenade goes in on retreat and kills a bunch of Guardsman models. I think it may have even killed the Banshee model as well, but kills a bunch of Guardsman models. Meanwhile, it looks like we've got some generators being destroyed over here. Yeah, Hormagaunts were over here bashing. It looks like they only took out one generator, though, before they started getting harassed by this Sentinel. Sentinel, unfortunately, does not really have terribly high DPS, and the Hormagaunts will get a bit of a damage resistance when they are attacking the generators in melee, so they really don't take a whole lot of damage. Here, right here is a lot of support from SuperHooper. SuperHooper with he's kind of got one of everything except for a Havoc. Ooh, this could be the end of the Commissar Lord. The Commissar Lord already upgraded to the Aura of Discipline, but I don't think the Force Commander, can he make it? No, he can't. He keeps charging in, but he doesn't quite make it. And the Force Commander now has the Iron Halo and the Power Sword. That is definitely a way to make the Force Commander a lot more threatening in Tier 1, since he becomes both quite a bit more tanky as well as doing a bit more damage, especially to power armor squads. But now he is overextending his welcome, or overstaying his welcome, overextending himself. Meanwhile, a lot of things going on right here. Shotgun's actually knocking over and suppressing the Guardsmen. Shotgun's usually not really an anti-Guardsman tool, but I guess if you just run up and blast them while they're blobbed up, and they're usually blobbed up together. Barb Strangler Warrior is doing pretty well, meanwhile. He's suppressing blobs of Guardsmen. We'll see another shot go there, and it takes a nice little chunk out of their health as well. Oh, these Dire Avengers. Oh no, PhatE going for a really unnecessary decap and loses his Dire Avengers entirely. I don't know if it's like entirely worth it to go for that decap, and I'm guessing his attention was just elsewhere. He is not in the center lane. He's probably over here trying to micro something. Meanwhile, interesting build from Yarrick. Triple heavy weapons teams, one heavy bolter and 2 autocannons. And that's going to be a death for the Warp Spider Exarch as well. Meanwhile, PhatE has really does not have that many squads, whereas Yarrick has a ton. He's also got the Aura of Discipline to heal them all. Yarrick always has some interesting Imperial Guard technology, and, well, what he's got right here is definitely going to... He's going to lock down the natural VP pretty well. Although, at the moment, it's not really their natural VP that they need, and they don't have the contested VP, so it is a double cap against the blue team. Meanwhile, wow, for the Emperor on some Shotgun Scouts, and I mean, they are actually probably the highest DPS squad that Class C Brother Captain David has right now. He really doesn't have much. He's only got 3 squads. He's got a lot of resources. Maybe he's waiting for a Dreadnought. Could definitely put a Razorback out on the field, or a Librarian. I'm guessing he's waiting for a Dreadnought, or rushing Tier 3. These Tyranids now actually getting pushed off pretty badly. The Barb Strangler Warriors, 2 models go down. Now the Howling Banshees are rushing in. Grenade mostly dodge, and in fact it actually hits the Lictor Alpha. That was kind of funny. Meanwhile, we've got a Blastmaster Noise Marine from SuperHooper actually knocks over Jamona's Lord General. And, you know, it might not even be really worth it for PhatE to keep trying to engage in this lane. He even has the power node, although I imagine at some point Yarrick might take that back. It might be more worth PhatE's time to actually go on over to the middle lane, support his teammates there. Normally it's pretty expected that usually the natural Vs are kept by their team, and games are usually decided on who wins the contested VP. I mean, of course, That's not always true. Sometimes games are, in fact, won based on backcaps, and definitely some backcapping does sometimes occur on this map. Yarrick definitely has the natural VP for his team locked down pretty well, though. So we do have, ooh, double zone throw. So instead, Fear's coming out to, Fear's making a lane switch to help out PhatE. Now, if he does start shooting with the zone throws, that is actually hitting Yarrick really, really hard. He's actually staying in here, and he's trying to get some healing on his guardsmen from the bunker, and that's actually working out really well. You can actually see them regenerating all their health. Probably the aura of discipline from the Commissar is helping as well. But this is now definitely. Oh, and he uses a Commissar flare just to gain the temporary advantage. You can hear those zone throws. They make this sound that's kind of weird. Yarrick, meanwhile, he's got guardsmen. They've only got their sergeant, no plasma guns. Plasma guns would not be terribly expected right now. He's in a lane against Tyranids, or he's in a lane against Eldar rather, with Tyranids coming over to the side. So he doesn't really need plasma guns that much. It's still a slight DPS boost to even get plasma guns, even if you're just fighting against infantry, although it's not really worth the cost. Anyway, Banshees are now charging in, but they are not getting suppressed. They are now finally getting suppressed by the heavy weapon team, but Yarrick is starting to get hit really hard. The Lord General is taking a lot of shots. He's actually got the Melt-A-Gun. This is Jamona's Lord General, of course, and now Jamona and SuperHooper coming to support in this lane. I mean, they're choosing to engage in here very curiously. Meanwhile, we've now got a whirlwind for classy brother Captain David. He upgraded his attacks to Stern Guards, and it looks like both PhatE as well as Fear pretty much getting pushed off. Ooh, a very nice Blastmaster shot. Nearly takes out that scout squad, but luckily the scout sergeant is quite a bit tougher than the individual scout models. He has something like 250 hit points compared to the 140 of the individual scout models. We saw some Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines do some work against the Stern Guards. They just do a lot of damage to heavy infantry or anything really. And now we have a Venom Brood out for Fear. I feel like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of vehicles coming out of the blue team, but he could also just be getting that for the range synapse. They do have the range synapse, so that will definitely greatly increase the damage of the Termagants, and something they become very, very powerful. Sentinel definitely needs to move back. Alright, so VP's still pretty even. Baneblade actually on the way for Jamona. Jamona lost his Sentinel, but he's got a Baneblade building. Yarrick, meanwhile, in Tier 3. He's in Tier 3, but, I wonder how much he's actually going to be... It could still be early yet. I mean, with Jamona... Jamona's going for a Baneblade right now, but he also didn't buy much. Didn't buy as much as Yarrick. Yarrick bought a lot of stuff. It was cheap stuff, but he still bought a lot of stuff. Oh man, those Raptors getting hit really, really hard. Lucky to only lose 1 out of 4 models, though.
Preparing the Commissar Lord's weapon.
Grenade goes in on the Blastmaster Noise Marines. Another grenade attempt, but I don't think that one's going to do it. It was just a little bit earlier that possibly could have been a wipe on the Noise Marines. Meanwhile, things seem to be kind of stalling out a little bit. I think all of the players have kind of gotten themselves very strong, like defensively. We've got a bunker here in the middle. We've got the Fist of Brachus on Yarrick's Commissar Lord. It does mean that all of these guardsman squads are just not going to die as long as this ability is channeled. And they're also going to be restoring some of their health with the Aura of Discipline. I think that's one of Yarrick's like strategies, which is one thing he likes to do. And a lot of things happening right now. Commissar Flare goes in, I believe. Yeah, because there's no Manticore yet. Meanwhile, these Rangers, I think, are taking some shots at the heavy weapons teams, but they're content to just reinforce their models from the bunker as well as just heal up. There comes that replacement. He'll pay for that, but I mean, there's almost not a whole lot to be won over here, so it's in a way kind of surprising that they're both putting so much emphasis on it. Here is the D-Cannon, though, and the D-Cannon is big because the D-Cannon, it's actually at a range where it can attack ground, hit the bunker, and that can be it. Yarrick even calling out the D-Cannon. There is actually a singularity, and I think he'll not get hit by the singularity. But what he should start doing is just attacking ground to destroy the bunker. And is that what he's doing? Yep, that's exactly what he's doing, and there's nothing Yarrick can do about that. So that's pretty much going to be the end of the bunker. Yarrick needs to get his heavy weapon team out of the bunker before the bunker gets destroyed, or he's going to lose his heavy weapon team. All right, luckily for him, he got the heavy weapon team out, so he didn't lose the heavy weapon team, he just lost the bunker. Stern Guards actually took a lot of damage. Well, they got knocked over by Let the Galaxy Burn, and then they started taking a lot of damage from the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. Stern Guards going to get wiped out. David, unfortunately, not paying attention right here, and losing his Stern Guards. I don't know what that was all about. Just totally dropped his micro there. He actually had a lot of time for that. You know, entire Avengers going for a back cap, but all of these setup teams have moved back a little so that they're now targeting the VP and will destroy anything that is trying to capture that point. All of the guardsmen getting forced off, though. And these Banshees actually really, really need to go, though. So a pretty big defensive wall set up in the middle, now with a Baneblade being supported by a repair bunker as well as a heavy turret. So that's a lot of cannons right here in the middle. So blue team definitely has a pretty strong hold on the middle at the moment. It's going to be really tough to crack. It's so hard to... It's really hard to get through a Baneblade backed by a repair bunker. Manticore Strike goes in. That must be Yarrick's Manticore. Yarrick finally does have a Manticore. So not going for a Baneblade right here. Jamona's got the Baneblade, so just might be content to let Jamona handle that. But Devil Heavy Weapon Team's actually in a lot of trouble. The cannon does a lot of damage, and that's going to be... Is that going to wipe it out? Man, I think if that retreat was any later, I think that would have been the end of that Devastator. The combination of the Baneblade's main cannon as well as the Demolisher cannon can be very, very powerful for wiping out setup teams.
Message received.
The Zoanthropes are still alive. Both Zoanthropes still alive, and we have a Doom of Malantai. So Fear doesn't have a whole lot of anti-vehicle capabilities. He's mainly just got the Venom Brood, and that's not a whole lot, especially not to take out something like a Baneblade. So Fear is really contributing more of the anti-infantry. And here we go with well, it turns out when things are hit by even when the Fist of Brachus or the None Shall Fall ability is activated, Guardsmen can still get suppressed, so they are invulnerable, but they can still be suppressed. He's actually set his bunker up now even further back. A lot of things going on right here. Commissar Flare, but there is also a Paroxysm, I believe, from the Doom of Malantai. Does not actually appear to be doing anything. Maybe it was cancelled, but the visual effect was still there. Cancelled by the Doom of Malantai walking away or something. Or floating away. And this actually does not look like it's going well at all for Fear. One of those, I feel like, oh, here's the Demolisher cannon shot. One of the Zoanthropes goes down. The Doom of Malantai in a little bit of trouble as well. Meanwhile, Baneblade might want to move back to the middle or not. That's going to be the end of this heavy turret. One more shot should take out the heavy turret. Heavy turret is done. And the Baneblade is, well, the Baneblade is not done, but there are double las cannon heavy weapons teams right here. Although I think with the angle right now, Only one of them would be shooting at it. Actually, they get knocked over by Let the Galaxy Burn. So only one las cannon heavy weapon team will be targeting this Devastator squad. So of course he's using the Demolisher cannon right there. Does half damage to that Devastator Marine squad in retreat. And we have another D-cannon call. D-cannon is potentially very threatening to guardsmen and is something that can take out a bunker from extreme range. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I guess eventually the guardsman could just walk forward. He's just trying to make sure he has sight, and then he uses a Manticore to force off that Guardian weapon team. I don't know why we had a retreat here. Well, he does a retreat because he can just... He doesn't need to retreat, actually. I mean, he could execute them and just make them stop retreating, but he still has to pay for that model, which I don't think that's worth it. When he could just walk back.
They have 100 points, sir. Won't be long, sir.
Nice Blastmaster shot, knocks over a bunch of those Termagants. But there's a Swarm Lord now. Swarm Lord actually can go straight for the Noise Marines. And here is another Demolisher cannon shot. Actually, that looked like it might have been able to wipe the D-cannon, but it didn't, so pretty lucky. We've got double las cannons setting up. Las cannons taking shots at that Baneblade. It definitely does a lot of damage. One las cannon still going. The other one is moving around, not quite in position. Now might be a good time for some For the Emperor from David, because this Baneblade now taking a huge amount of damage. And he's still got sight because he's got that friendly Swarm Lord. For the Emperor is on this Devastator, although right now the Baneblade is still in a position where it might be able to get out of there alive. Are the Venoms shooting at the Baneblade? Really close call. Actually, this Baneblade is just about done. We've still got the Swarm Lord chasing it, but can the Swarm Lord do enough damage? That's a rocket run. That is a rocket run. And the Baneblade did in fact go down. Meanwhile, well, that was a rocket run. It doesn't look like David lost any stuff. Maybe Fear did. Although, Jamona lost a Baneblade, but he's saving up his resources to get another one, apparently. And wow, the VPs, I didn't realize they were so far in favor of the blue team. I didn't realize what a stronghold they had. And I mean, I guess a lot of it had to do with that Baneblade. Because it's 345 to 35 VPs. Or, wait, let's see. Yeah, the blue team held on. The red team way behind. But we've got double D cannons opening fire. That's going to hurt a lot, especially against guardsmen. You know, we've got a Tyrannoformation, I guess, to stop an attempted capture over here. A lot of chaos stuff getting knocked over. SuperHooper with a Great Unclean One. I don't know that I feel like I've seen the Great Unclean One do a whole lot. Meanwhile, Yarrick going for the cap on the middle, or at least the decap. Now, right now, the guardsmen are invulnerable. However, the Commissar Lord is not. One of the guardsman squads also hit, or the Commissar hit out of range of one of the guardsman squads, and now, of course, Fist None Shall Fall is not active, so some of those guardsman squads got pretty dangerously close to dying. Here we go with a crack grenade on the Swarm Lord. A lot of disruption from the Whirlwind, as well as some shots coming out from this Fire Prism. Here is a Singularity, I assume, but it looks like most things that would have been in that Singularity are going to run past. We got a Guardsman squad in a lot of trouble, and one Guardsman squad goes down. That was for Jamona, so Jamona loses a Guardsman squad. Not a huge loss at this stage of the game, I'd say, but still loses a Guardsman squad finally. I actually feel like there haven't been a whole lot of squad losses in this game, and most of the players do have quite a few squads. Fear has definitely lost a few things. He's lost 2 Zoanthropes, he's lost Hormagaunts. I don't know if he's lost any more than that. He had a Venom Brood, he lost that too. So Fear's taken quite a few losses. Many of the other players, it feels like they really haven't. Guardsmen try to go for the cap. There's a Singularity, though. The Scouts might get pulled into the Singularity. Or the the D cannon that fired that singularity actually got forced off, so it didn't end up shooting the singularity. Anyway, I hear a bunch of cannons going on, auto cannons in fact. We've got a level 2 auto cannon and an Eldritch Storm going on where? Was that an Eldritch Storm? I thought I had heard an Eldritch Storm. It sounded like one, but maybe not. And now we finally do have some backcapping by PhatE over here. That backcapping had been prevented all game, and now it's finally happening. Spore Mines called in of all things. I don't see... Spore Mines are not going to have much of a chance at all at this stage of the game. This Blastmaster actually doing really, really nicely, just at knocking over all of the infantry that's trying to walk forward. Unfortunately, the Blastmaster, the non-Blastmaster models were walking forward, and they do that sometimes, and it's really annoying because they're usually exposing themselves unnecessarily. Meanwhile, Land Raider Redeemer for Classy Brother Captain David in a huge amount of trouble, and it looks like it's going to go down. Really close call, but man, the range on that thing, as well as the Fight Harder ability may have been increasing the rate of fire. We got double las cannons out of Jamona.
We are winning this one, sir.
Looks like this bunker has actually been stolen. Uh-oh. He's going to go into the bunker, but it might get hit. Alright.
More armor for the armor. Right.
But this fire prism going forward very unnecessarily and is probably going to die, actually. Especially if a las cannon sets up, the Lehman Russ can just chase after it, but las cannons finish it off. Lehman Russ has the Vanquisher cannon, so it does have a longer cannon. It has more range than most of the traditional tanks. Not as much as a fire prism, although the fire prism is generally considered more of a self-propelled artillery than a tank. We could say more of a self-propelled artillery than a main battle tank. And main battle tanks, the main battle tanks in this game are things like the Lehman Russ, the Looted Tank, Predator, and that's pretty much it with that. But the Lehman Russ with the Vanquisher does have longer range than all of the other main battle tanks, and it's more of an AV specialist tank. Although I think it still does not do as much damage as the las cannon Predator, even considering that the rate of fire was buffed in the Elite mod, and that was something that happened a very long time ago. Singularity about to happen here, pulls in a heavy weapon team as well as some Kashkins. They're in a little bit of trouble, but I think they'll be fine. Just getting chased down by some infiltrating shotgun scouts, but I think they're in a little bit over their head. Uninfiltrate and start attacking the Great Unclean One. Man, look at that cleaver swipe. Takes out 2 of the Scout Marine models. And all of these things getting disrupted. Still have Yarrick rocking it with the None Shall Fall ability so that his guardsmen don't die. Healing them a little bit with the Aura of Discipline. It's like just one of his things. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to lose one of the guardsman squads. That is one of the risks of being very brazen with that war gear. Just got a little too close and just left them in a little too long. A lot of things happening right now. Looks like we've got a backcapping Plague Marine squad, and those backcapping Plague Marines, unfortunately, they are not shooting with their missiles at any of these things. I almost wonder if maybe it would be, yeah, put the Chaos Lord on the point net right now. He won't get knocked down, and start actually threatening those vehicles. The Fire Prism and the Whirlwind. That is definitely an Eldritch Storm, but where is it? Oh, it's right here. Well, I mean, that delays the cap, and I guess they really do need to delay the cap. The red team can't afford to let the blue team get on the cap much at all. We're going to see a Swarm Lord right here. Maybe he'll use that Storm of Blades move that is very rarely used. And yes, he does, and he wipes out that Chaos Space Marine squad. My god, you hardly ever see that move, but that was the perfect time for it. Unfortunately, I think the Swarm Lord is going to die in the process, except for the fact that both of the heavy weapon teams get slaughtered. Well, not slaughtered, but they certainly got hurt by getting pulled into a singularity. So that's that Storm of Blades move from the Swarm Lord. You rarely see it, even though it's extremely powerful, and the reason you rarely see it is that Tyranid players would rather use Leech Essence to keep the Swarm Lord alive. And it really does help to keep the Swarm Lord alive, and he just stays in and doesn't die, and it's really annoying. And one of the great things about the Swarm Lord is how much better the Swarm Lord is at surviving than a Carnifex, especially a ranged Carnifex. Here's yet another rocket run. Just gets the Terminators off the point. Does not actually do a whole lot of damage to them. Does do quite a bit of damage to those things. I think certainly could have wiped more squads if he had really gone for the Termagants and the Devastators, but I think one of his main concerns was actually just getting the Terminators off the point, which, I don't know, the blue team has time to spare, so they can... doing a desperate move like using a rocket run just to get Terminators off the point might be a little too much. Anyway, Terminators now taking damage from Terminators as well as some Plague Marines. Blastmaster still taking shots as well. I think actually, I feel like the Chaos Terminators and the Plague Marines should actually start shooting at the Force Commander. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? The Chaos Lord taking advantage of his knockback immunity to get a decap off, trying to go for a cap, but probably taking too much damage. Meanwhile, back here, the Commissar Lord is trying to capture his natural VP and actually goes down in the process. So now they don't even have their natural VP. They're actually now having trouble holding their natural VP now that there are things like D-cannons as well as fire prisms out on the field that can take out a bunker from pretty long range. More singularities going on, as well as a Carnifex that's in a huge amount of trouble, and I think one more shot is going to finish off the Carnifex, but it looks like it just barely managed to get out of range. We do have a Predator chasing, but the Predator needs to be careful about driving into a las cannon firing arc itself, and now that Chaos Predator is in a huge amount of trouble. It is a Nurgle Predator, so it is more durable, so it might have a chance, but it's also getting chased down by a Swarm Lord. We've got just a Guardsman Commissar driving or running away at level 4. And wow, Yarrick, I didn't even realize, but Yarrick has now lost a ton of stuff. He lost 2 of his heavy weapons teams, he lost his Manticore, and he lost 1 of his Guardsman squads. His remaining Guardsman squads are at level 4. He's getting a Lehman Russ. Meanwhile, it's Jamona that has the new Manticore. Blue team VPs are now taken down in their favor. The red team needs to at least get their natural. They need to at least do that and then just try to get everything off the middle. They're delaying a bit. Oh no, what are David and Fear doing? They need to get on the natural. All right, Fear realizes it. When he gets there, they really just gave up a lot of VPs. Well, not a lot of VPs, but they gave up VPs unnecessarily at a time when they really can't afford to give away too many. Pretty much once this VP is capped, they cannot, if the red team wants to win this, they cannot let the blue team ever have hold of more VPs than they do. Wow, we've got a Terminator Force Commander standing on that point to try to capture it. And he's incredibly tanky, but even he can't do it. Just way too much damage going in from the Blastmaster. This Blastmaster, I feel like, it's done a lot. Maybe hasn't been contested enough. We've got a Bright Lance going over here. Meanwhile, another Singularity, putting some of those heavy weapons teams in trouble. The heavy weapons teams from Jamona, those are las cannon heavy weapons teams. And Yarrick now has a new Manticore, nearly taking out that Guardian weapon team. Actually doesn't though. And he's got a Lehman Russ. So it's hitting things pretty close, but that actually could be it. That's pretty much it, with SuperHooper just getting on that point, and then he pretty much couldn't be forced off because he's a Chaos Lord. Alright, and that is it for this game. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.